What's up, guys? Pensensuality 505 here. So I've had an idea lurking in the back of my head for a while now. So if y'all remember, last year I made a video talking about 5 ideas for sets that I would like to see be made. And that got a lot of views and a lot of comments and whatnot. And I've been wanting to do a part 2 to that for a while now. At one point, I did actually start recording a part 2 to that, but I ultimately scrapped it because I didn't like how it was coming out. And there was stuff for certain sets that I didn't have that I wanted to get to make it better. But I have kind of a fresh new idea for that. I'm thinking instead of doing 5 sets for another video, instead I start a little mini series, and each episode we go in depth on one set idea. And with that, the way it'll work kind of like that video, but instead of cramming 5 sets together in one video, I'm gonna do just one set per video. Reason being is because if I put 5 or more sets in one video, I don't have a lot of time to really go in depth with the idea without making that video an hour or more. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do multiple kind of shorter, not super short videos, but short-ish videos where it's just focuses on one set, and we can go a little more in depth and stuff with that. But also, along with the set, we can come up with ideas for stuff that could be added onto the set, like an add-on pack or just add-on cars. So, with that out of the way, let's get right into it and let's build a set. Alright, so you guys know my stance on themed starter sets. I don't really like them because they partner with IPs that have really nothing to do with trains. Wonka, John Deere is a pretty big one. Stuff like that, and I don't like those sets. But this idea, now, before you throw bricks at me, let me explain this idea. This is a themed starter set, but it kind of makes more sense than a Star Trek or John Deere, whatever. This set would be based off of the train from Sonic Mania, and this would be a pretty neat set. And I have a lot of really good ideas for this. As you guys know, in the game, in Mirage Saloon Zone Act 1, Dr. Robotnik has a train that he drives. It's based on a 440 American type, and it's got a string of freight cars behind it. And I'm thinking, Lionel could do something like this for Sonic's 35th anniversary. Now, yes, that's not for another 2 years yet, but I think when that time comes, when the 35th anniversary comes out, that would be the perfect time to drop that set. Because I honestly think with that hype going around at that time, that's going to sell like hotcakes for the Sonic fans. So I think this would be a good idea. And honestly, for a lot of this stuff for this set, they already have the tooling to make the stuff for it. So without further ado, let's get right into what would come with the set. Okay, so let's go through the train itself first. So, starting off, the engine is going to be Lionel's typical 440 American style steam locomotive. And the reason why I'm choosing this is because it's obvious, it's 440. And I don't really think they're going to need to modify a whole lot to make it look pretty good and somewhat accurate to the game. Now, yes, of course, the overall shape of the boiler and whatnot is not accurate to the game, but I think that's alright. The two things that I think they're going to need to modify, though, to make this set look good is, one, they're going to need to modify the front end of the engine to have Dr. Robotnik's facial features, as the engine in-game has that. The other thing they need to do is make Dr. Robotnik leaning out the cab window. They've done this before. In the Toy Story set, they used the same engine casting, and they had Woody leaning out the cab window. So I think for that, for the Sonic Mania set, they could have Dr. Robotnik leaning out the cab window as he does drive the train in the game. For the tender, this is going to be easy. The only thing they're going to have to modify is the coloring and the trucks. I would say the trucks, they need to just have it match the same casting of trucks for all the freight cars. For the wood load, the way they're going to need to color that is they're going to have to make it kind of match the almost kind of aesthetic spikes. I don't know what they're supposed to be, but the tender in-game does not have a wood load, so I think they could just replicate whatever is on the tender with the wood load and just color and make it look like that. And also staying on the tender for a second, now I don't own a modern 440 American type, so I don't know where they keep the sound system in it, but I believe it's in the tender. And for the sound system itself, I think they should take some sound clips from the game and put them into the engine. They should take the whistle from the game and maybe the steam chuff as well. Or they can do their own steam. Lionel could do their own steam chuff. But also, as you guys know, Lionel likes to do crew talk and have dialogue sequences with all their engines, and especially with they like to do unique ones for their starter sets. So I'm thinking what they could do is they could hire the voice actors for different characters from the Sonic games to do dialogue sequences. Now, yes, it would not be accurate to the game, to Sonic Mania, because in Sonic Mania none of the characters have voice lines, but in other Sonic games the characters do. So they can get different voice actors to do their respective characters' voice lines. So then we can have crew talk with this set. Going on to freight cars, the train in the game has a lot of tank cars, and what we could use to replicate those is Lionel's standard single dome tank car design. The only thing they would have to do different, other than the color of course, is not add the platform on. And they've already done this before. In the 2024 catalog, they have a tank car advertised that uses the same molding, and it doesn't have the platform on it. So yeah, they don't have a whole lot to do there. The train in the game also has a flat cars, and for that, Lionel can just use their standard flat car design. And for a load, this would have to be a new tooling, of course, for the load. For the load, they can do a ramp and a barrel, as in-game, the flat cars have ramps and barrels on them. So we can model that a little bit for that. In-game, there is also a flat car that somewhat represents a VAT car. Of course, it's a little tall, but we can use Lionel's VAT car tooling for that. The only thing they would have to do is just the coloring. They could make the vats on the inside colored to look like the barrels in-game, and that's about it. They don't have to do a whole lot to modify it. They don't have to do a whole lot to make it look like the VAT car in the game. And for the end of the train, we're going to take some creative liberties here. At the end of the train in-game, there is no caboose. There just is a very short boxcar that holds the special stage ring. But I think for this set, they should do a single center cupola caboose. And what they could do is they could do one of two paint schemes. The paint scheme that I would prefer is one that's more accurate to the game, where they would have the special stage ring. They can just paint it on the side. Or they could do another paint scheme, which I will talk about in a little bit. Now, as you guys know, Lionel likes to usually make one or two add-on cars for their sets that they advertise in their catalogs. And I have two ideas for different add-on cars. The first idea would be a boxcar. And I would say they should use the 64 style casting, but they shouldn't just make it a regular boxcar. I would say they should make it a sound boxcar. And the way they could do the sound boxcar is they can do the Mirage Saloon Zone songs from Act 1 and 2, maybe some other little sound effects as well. And of course, you can have a switch on the bottom to turn them on and off. Because I think that would be a good idea to add to the set. It adds a little more sound to the set and whatnot. My other idea for a add-on car would be a Chase Gondola. Now, for the Chase Gondola, I think what they could do is have a couple badniks running around in the car, and then make all the crates and whatnot kind of, replicated to, things that would be on Dr. Robotnik's train. Now, yes, of course, Dr. Robotnik's train did not have a gondola, but again, we're taking creative liberties. The train doesn't have a caboose either. So, we're going to take creative liberties, and we're going to make the gondola match the style of the rest of the train, have a couple badniks running around, and also put some pegs on top of the load in the center, so then you can put your little Sonic characters and stuff on top. And that is the two add-on cars for this set. Now, another thing that they could add to this set is figures. And Lionel already does this with the Polar Express sets. They include a pack of 5 figures that you can actually stick onto your train with little pegs that are located throughout the train. And I think Lionel could do this with this set too. They could have a Sonic and Tails figure, just like what we have here. Now, of course, they have to be in the classic design. They can't be in the modern design, as would make sense for the set. Sonic Mania was considered a classic game, well, a classic styled game. And along with Sonic and Tails, there could be Knuckles the Echidna and a couple badniks as well. So then, have a little bit of variety in characters. And yeah, I think as well, along with the characters, they could add a model of the tornado Tails is playing. And it would add a little play value to it, because as you know, a lot of these starter sets that Lionel makes is more geared for children. And so I think it would kind of make sense if they add figures and add a model of the tornado and add that little extra play value to it. So yeah. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before we run this train around the layout is when this set should be released. I think this set should be released in either Lionel's 2025 Volume 2 catalog or the 2026 Volume 1 catalog. Now, the reason why I say so late is because in 2026 it'll be Sonic's 35th anniversary. And I think if they release it in either one of those catalogs, it would be the perfect time to release it then. Because if they do it in the 2025 Volume 2 catalog, they could have those sets by the going out on shelves by the time Sonic's 35th anniversary comes around. Or they could do the same deal like that in the 2026 Volume 1 catalog as well. They catalog it then, and then right around when Sonic's 35th anniversary comes around, they put out those sets. So yeah, I think this would be a great idea for a set. Yeah, and with that out of the way, let's run the train a little bit. Alright guys, I hope you liked that. Now, before I wrap up the video for today, I just kind of want to talk about, Lionel collaborating with IPs. I think some IPs make more sense than others. I think IPs that have at least something to do with trains, like for example Sonic the Hedgehog, there are some levels that in the games that are centered around trains. Now, they don't have to be IPs that are like completely centered around trains, but they can have trains in them, and it would make sense then. If they were, like I said earlier, I don't think sets like Star Trek or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory or John Deere really make sense as IPs for Lionel to collaborate with, because they have nothing to do with trains. At least with Sonic the Hedgehog, it at least somewhat makes sense, because there are trains in some of the Sonic games. Not in every Sonic game, but in some of them. So it makes more sense than John Deere or Frozen or whatever. So, yeah. With that being said, I want to know what you guys think. Comment down below what you all think, and if you have any ideas for sets, put that in the comments too. I might even make a video on it. Of course, I'll give you credit. Of course, I'm not going to take someone else's credit. But yeah, if you liked what you see, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with friends and others. And yeah, definitely make sure to subscribe. We are 2 away from hitting 400 subscribers. So yeah, I mean, you subscribing means the world to me. And yeah, so with all that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. And this is going to be Penn Central 8505 out.